Hi, I'm Charlotte, and thank you for stopping by on my channel. Today's video, I hope is going to be a little bit shorter than the ones I've made until then. It is a part 2 video where I will tell you about some current and upcoming projects I have in my reading. I made a part 1 a few weeks ago about fantasy and sci-fi, and this one will be about classics and literary fiction. I think I said once before that for me the place where you make the cut between classics and literary fiction is not always very clear. I haven't found a definition that I'm convinced by yet, so I will just go kind of in chronological order, and you can decide what you think. I think the first ones are definitely classics, and the last ones are definitely literary fiction. And what is in the middle is up to your interpretation, I would say. All right, so I think let's just start. First project is actually an upcoming project, and it is that I am planning starting whenever I'm done with my current audiobook that is a classics that I'm listening to. I'm usually listening to at the same time one classic, usually a bigger classic, and then some kind of fantasy or magical realism on audiobook. And I am still finishing the last classic I started. I won't tell you what it is. I will tell you when I'm done with it in a wrap up. But once I'm done with this, I want to start listening to Proust. The whole, I think it's, I don't know what is the name in English actually. I think it's something like Searching for Lost Time. There are 7, 8, maybe 9 volumes. It's very big, and I know that I will never read it all by like if I read it physically. So I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to start this year with the first one. I will put the book in English because I don't know the title. I always, when I listen to an audiobook, usually I get the book also physically, just so I can reread some passages and remind me of the book when I pick it up again. And all of Proust in French has been made as audiobook, read by kind of classical theater actors, quite well-known one. The first volume is read by André Dussolier and Lambert Wilson. I'm sure it's going to be great, and I'm going to start, and we'll see what happens. For now I have got the first volume, and if I like it, which I assume I will, then I will keep going at its own rhythm. That's a multiple years plan that I have for Proust. Good. Then my next project, actually it's older than Proust. I just realized it's okay. We're not going to be that picky about chronology. My next project, as I was saying, is Jane Austen. I started the year before this year by reading Sense and Sensibility, because I have seen movie adaptations, and I know kind of the stories, and I always was very drawn to the characters in Sense and Sensibility. Also Persuasion. I think those are my favorite stories, as far as I know the stories. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna start by reading this one, and I really liked the experience. And then I thought I should just read them all. And then I looked up the books. I found an edition I liked, and then I realized Sense and Sensibility was the first novel that she published. So I thought, why not just read them in order of publication, since the last one also is Persuasion, and it's the only one I had read, but in French a few years ago. So it means, I can get back to it when I will have forgotten enough of the book to enjoy it the way I should. And because this is the third year, I will be reading probably in 2022 Mansfield Park. It's a big one. So I read first the Sense and Sensibility, then I read Pride and Prejudice last year. Had a good time, very good time even. And so this year will be Mansfield Park. Looking forward to it. And I have these vintage editions. I like them. I like the drawings. They look a little bit like cut paper. And I think the font is quite nice. There are not too many notices. I mean, I like it sometimes, but when I'm reading for fun, I don't need them. They make me make me lose my focus. So yeah, I like those editions, and I will keep using them. So this will be my 2022 Austen read if everything goes as planned, which it should. Then I have another project that is a little bit more nebulous. Basically what happened was I read Rebecca, I think also in 2020 by Daphne Du Maurier, and I loved it, which I don't think is very surprising. I think many people who like classics and who like literary fiction like Rebecca, because what is there not to like? And then I saw that Virago editions, the green ones, had many other of her books, so I have just been collecting them in these paperback editions. I think they look really beautiful and it's very engaging. I have The Breaking Point, which is a collection of short stories, and then Jamaica Inn and My Cousin Rachel, 2 of her novels. And I'm planning on picking one of those books every year if I can fit them in. They feel like nice summer reads. I don't know what this series will be. It will be one of the 3. We will see. We will see what happens. But this is something I'm actively putting on my list, because that's also a reason why I have those projects. Is if I buy books, especially like series, it means I buy several books, then I want to have a clear idea of when I'm going to read them, so they don't stay forever on my TBR. And then after this, my next project, which I might also start this year, I also haven't started this, is to start Chinua Achebe's trilogy. So this will be a start with Things Fall Apart. I also don't know exactly when I'm going to start it. Might also be this summer, might be a little bit sooner, now that I'm thinking out loud, but I have another project that actually this might kind of be a nice addition to, or maybe not. We will see, but it will be a 2022 read. This one in comparison is very short. I heard it's very good. I'm sure it's very good. I want to read this trilogy, so I'm gonna start this year. After this comes probably my most ambitious classics reading project. I mean, except for Proust. I don't think I've realized yet what I'm putting myself into with the whole Proust audio thing, and it will take ages. Like I'm expecting 4 or 5 years of Proust. So this is the Proust apart. Let's leave Proust on the side for now. Let's say my largest project that is currently going on is started a little bit by chance. I had seen on someone's videos, I'm not sure who, might have been Eric Carl Anderson, or it might have been Russell from Ink and Paper blog, maybe. I think it was one of the 2. They were talking about American classics, and they mentioned The Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And I ordered it at a bookshop where I go to usually, and the lady ordered me a paperback edition. And, I didn't look it up. She did it on her computer, and then I got this edition of it. You cannot see, but it is, or maybe you can see, it has golden, it's like foiled. It's so beautiful. And I read the book and I loved it. And what I also loved about this book is that it had I think it's written, it had an introduction by Zadie Smith, so to kind of contextualize the text. Also the inside, I really liked it. I think the front is very enjoyable to read. It's quite big, it's very readable. Anyways, I really like this book. And then when I opened the flap, I realized this was not only one book, it was a whole collection. I'm sure some of you already know it. It's the Virago Modern Classic 30th Anniversary Collection, which is 13 modern classics, whatever this means, books written within the 20th century, basically, by women, or in English. And I looked them up and everything interested me, so I just decided to order them all and to read them. And I thought, best case, I will find new books I love. Worst case, I will have had a very interesting kind of overview of female writers in the English-speaking world in the 20th century. So I started. And I decided also, because I don't read that many books a year, I would read 4 books of this collection each year, like about 1 per season. And then I set an arbitrary order for which books I thought might fit well to each season. It was like purely based on my gut feelings and without having read them. And so last year I read 4 of them. I read Deep Water by Patricia Highsmith. I read Frost in May by Antonia White. This one was in my 2021 favorites. I love this book so much. By the way, like if I had done a 2020 favorites video, that I was Where Watching God would have been in it. It was kind of a transformative read. Then in the summer, I read A View of the Harbor by Elizabeth Taylor. Also had a great time. I like all these books. Like I don't think I have to say it again every time. Some I loved even more. All of them were at least very interesting and entertaining. And then the last one I read in the fall was Memento Mori by Muriel Spark. And they were all great. I think the covers are so beautiful. And the introduction, like are all interesting. They're all written by contemporary writer who has some kind of a relationship with the classics, the classic author that they are talking about. One I really found very interesting was the Deepwater Introduction by Patricia Highsmith. It was made by Gillian Flynn. It was an interview. Actually, it wasn't an introduction. It was an interview of Gillian Flynn talking about Patricia Highsmith. Super interesting. Just for this, I'm happy I got this edition. Also because I discovered Patricia Highsmith. This is also great, but the interview was super interesting. And so this year I'm reading 4 more that I already picked. Like I've picked it up. So it will be 4 more this year and then 4 more next year. And I thought I will just show you as kind of a teaser what I will be reading this year in this collection. I'm supposed to read until the end of next month the collected stories by Grace Paley. I don't know a lot about her. I just know she's an American writer who wrote short stories between the 1950s and the 1990s. We'll see what happens with that. I should start it because it's quite big and I still haven't, but I will. It's set in my schedule. And if I go a little bit over, like there will be no problem. It's just I'm trying to really keep myself on track to get those books read in a time where I'm excited about them. And it's been working really well for me to do it like that. Then in the spring, I will read, and I know nothing about this, The Return of the Soldier by Rebecca West. This one has red foiling and it's just so nice. Anyway, they all look beautiful. In the summer, I will read Heartburn by Nora Ephron. And then next fall, I think in October, because that feels like kind of a slightly gothic or spooky read, I will read The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter. So this is my Virago Modern Classics 30th Anniversary Collection project. 13 books and I've already read 5 of them. So I think it's going quite well. By the way, if you're interested in those books, you should really pick it up, because I was planning to buy them one after the other, and then I went to my bookseller and it turns out several of those are already out of print. So just a word, if you have some of them, if you're thinking of picking up the collection, maybe look them up now, because they're gonna get harder and harder to find in the upcoming month or years. And then we have still a couple of additional projects. And the next one I have, which I am planning, or I already started it, kind of unwilling. Not unwillingly. I didn't know that it was more than one book. It is the Isabel Allende trilogy. the House of Spirits trilogy. This is the House of Spirits, which I haven't read yet. And then the second one is called, I think, Daughter of Fortune. And this one I have read. I read it 2 years ago. And then the last one is Portrait in Sepia. Sepia? I don't know how you pronounce it. Anyways, I really like Isabel Allende. I'd read a couple of books by her before. And then I read Daughter of Fortune, Daughter of the Fortune. I'm not sure how the title is in English. And I found it very beautiful. And so I thought, I'm gonna try to read the trilogy, since it is a trilogy. The first one is this one, House of Spirits. It's a kind of a family saga in, when is it? I don't know. I'd say early 20th century Chile. As far as I know, it also has quite a lot of magical realism in it. I'm interested, I'm intrigued, sounds like a great read. Could be a nice, like kind of a holiday read maybe, because it's quite long. Yeah, it's over 500 pages, so for me it's quite long, although it's in French, so I will get through it a bit more quickly. And I'm always up for some magical realism. So I think it might be a very, very fun and kind of, I could read them as to kind of settle down between more complicated reads. I feel like, they will be complex and they will have lots of content, but they also feel like adventure novels. And I'm really happy to have them on my pile. And then finally, I'm going to talk to you about one author who hasn't been translated yet to English, and I think it is a shame. She's called Shimazaki. She's a writer who was born in Japan, but then has spent, I think since the 1990s, she's been living in Montreal. And she writes in French. She writes she writes cycles of novellas about interpersonal relationships in French. And as far as I know, as far as I've seen until now, and as I've read a bunch of things on her. Those talk about people who migrated from Japan or who still live in Japan. It's always related somehow to Japanese culture. And she has written, I think now, 3 cycles. I think she's finished 3 and she started her 4th one. It's always 5 novellas, around 100 to 120 pages. And they all kind of interconnected. And so I read the first one. I picked it up because it was on a recommendation tables at the bookshop where I usually go, and I really, really like the covers. They made these new beautiful covers with kind of like this one, and also this one, like it's kind of nature related covers. And so I read it, and it's an easy read. It feels very minimalistic, the style, but also very deliberate and thought through. It feels like she took out everything that wasn't needed, and you get this. It's not a skeleton. It feels like a full story, but it feels like she took out all the unnecessary to leave you with kind of the essence of a story. Really, really like this style. And I've been meaning to read the rest of her books, but I only read the first one, and then I took some time. I ordered the next 4 of this first cycle, and I would like to read those 4 this year. So I'm thinking maybe one cycle a year or something like that until I'm done. I'm very excited for this project, and I honestly think those would be great in translation. Like they feel like they would be. I feel like a lot of people who speak English or who read in English would be interested in those. And since she lives in Canada, I really don't understand why she's not been translated. But I would read them anyways. I will tell you what I think about them, and I hope it will be interesting for you. All right, and I think for today that was already it. Might feel a little bit stressed because I've been gone from my home for a few days, and I wanted to do a video this week, but to do it a little bit in a reduced format. I will get back to my own chatty self probably in next videos. Still, I hope today's content was interesting for you, and I'm looking forward, as always, to speak to you in the comments and to see you again on this channel. Bye.